Okay, so back at it again.
It's not the same.
Well, did you want me to do the music?
No, I don't. God, no. No, I don't want the music. But there has been a trend, and now you've screwed it up because now we can't. Never mind. You know what?
My job is just to keep you guessing.
Whatever you want to do.
That
I
is
don't
my
care.
whole job.
Start
My job
this
is to keep
however
you
you'd
guessing.
like.
Next time, don't point at me like go.
Well, I pointed at you because I was hoping you'd go, and here we go again. And you've quit doing that, and I'm a creature of habit. So now I don't know what to do. So let's just do this. Welcome back to Random Ramblings. First off, I'm Josh. That's Kenny. I feel like we shouldn't have to introduce it at this point, but however, I still hope there's going to be a new person who has fallen down this rabbit hole by mistake. So for that person, thank you very much. And
for the three that are coming back on purpose, thanks.
Please ignore the guys behind the curtain.
Yeah, no kidding. Nothing going on here.
No.
So, we talk about this and everybody listening and everything. We listen to each other. I mean, I listen to us.
Oh, yeah.
In your world, it's called an air check.
Yes.
But I listen to us to see how we come across, how everything sounds. Mm-hmm. And so this past Wednesday, I decided I was going to listen at the gym.
Oh, gosh.
Okay, so got the fancy
I bet
Bluetooth.
were you unproductive? Were you unproductive?
You do. I might have been entertaining. We don't know yet. So, get the fancy Bluetooth earbuds and everything, which, fit in your ears all weird. But anyway, so I'm like, okay.
You're such a gym rat, bro.
Right. It's cardio day. All right, now for...
Oh, do you call it a day? Do you choose days?
Yes, I do, actually.
Oh,
because
God.
I basically don't do anything but cardio anyway right now, but, holiday weight.
Well, no, I mean...
Which is what I told my doctor it was. And we'll go with that. Hey, you gained a little bit of weight there, Kenny. Well, you know what? People feed me between Halloween and New Year's. And he's like, well, you shouldn't eat that many cakes. No, people don't feed me cakes and pies. People feed me. People bring me real food because they know I love to eat. And at that last party went, well, we got to watch how much we love to eat. And I'm like, okay, doc. Never mind. Anyway, so I'm going to walk on the treadmill, and we've covered that. Got a nice view of our river and everything.
Love it.
So got the earbuds in, got the phone in. And it's like, oh, hey, we're on. New episode just loaded. 45 minutes. I'm gonna walk, and we got about an hour episode. All right, I'll listen to this. So on the treadmill, just booking it at a whopping 3.5 miles per hour. And I did not realize until I saw a reflection in the window. I was actually laughing out loud while walking on the treadmill. Now, yeah, we did it. We were here. We'd already laughed at it, but it's funny when you hear it again. So
even if it's just for us, it's still funny.
I'm mouthing, talking to us, while listening to us talk to each other, and it's really kind of crazy. But yeah, I had picked up a few stares. I'm certain, and I say it all the time that I have to be careful because even I listen to music when I walk, and I have to be careful. A favorite song comes on, and you might start singing. So a lot of times it's like I'm constantly reminding myself, don't sing. But with the podcast and that one on top of it, it was hilarious, and it was hilarious to hear it again.
Right, right. No, I get it.
So yeah, I've entertained the entire Y with them. Hopefully, the younger people probably knew I had the earbuds in. So, but the older people that were like, what, giving me weird looks, like what in the hell is going on over there? To all of you, if you're listening, we think we're funny.
You think they're listening?
That would have been better if he'd been drinking water.
If you would put that on a shirt and then walk around, I got news for you. They still wouldn't know.
Really?
They still wouldn't know. And don't get me wrong, they are very nice people. I walk with most of them because I'm the guy that's that early in the morning, and I'm okay with that. I've long since admitted I am an old man in a young,
I'm the
fairly
idiot
young
that goes
man's
after
body.
work. I'm already tired. That's why all I do is walk.
No, it's fine. Look, you go when your schedule allows.
Yeah,
not here to judge whether you're
for
morning,
doing
noon, or
days.
night. No. Like cardio day or leg day or...
Oh, leg day sucks.
Oh, God.
Because I refuse to take the elevator in the gym.
So, I have yet to do that.
I take the stairs.
It's right at the track. It is so convenient. And I'm like, I get done and I've walked and I'm like...
I guess.
Ooh, I'm gonna get judged.
Now, and I can promise anybody listening, if you look at me, you don't think I have a gym membership.
No, well, me either.
But I park as far away from the front door as I can,
Yep.
and I walk up the steps, not the ramp. And
Yep.
I go in, I change, and I go up the steps to the weight room and where all the machines and everything are. And I will not take the elevator.
No, I've yet
because
to do
I feel like I'm there. I'm there trying to get a little bit more healthy. Why take the elevator?
Absolutely.
Now, I did take the stairs one time at a brisk pace, and I got to the top and decided that was a bad idea.
Oh no, I never ruin the exertion beforehand. No, don't. And as the term goes, don't blow your load before you get there. No,
I think it's fun to come out of that door,
right.
you know, looking like you're gonna have a heart attack. That's great.
Panting as you leave is kind of the goal. Like that's the end game. Well, the end game is, man, that was brisk. Now I can go, walk it for the 4 miles home. No. That's the overall goal of the physical fitness. But for me, I'm with you. Like, I don't mind panting leaving. Panting going in, bad.
Yeah.
Again, I still go early enough in the morning. I can't take the ramp because it's deadlocked. There's a lot of traffic there. There's a lot of traffic there. The senior swim is that morning, and the walkers apparently are waterproof. So those two ramps are full.
They are aluminum.
Those two ramps are full, so I couldn't take the ramp if I wanted to. Granted, they're all great people, but
yeah,
I also don't use the door button because...
Yeah, I know, and sometimes we have these wonderful people that man the desk, and sometimes as you're leaving, they'll hit the button.
Oh, I know.
And it's
have a great day.
And then I feel bad if I don't walk through it. It's like, they opened the door for me. Now I got to walk through there.
So I've done that. I've walked through that door after they've opened it, and they open it as I'm even with them, and I didn't fully go situationally aware. So I see the door open, I turn, wave, and as I walk through it, he's opening it for somebody that's coming in, and I went, ooh,
nice.
So at that point, I stop, let the old lady pass me. And then as I go out the door, I turn around and wave again and go, I'm going to think that was for me just in case. And out the door I went. Right. And he was like, I'm here to serve. But in the moment, I'm like, yeah, you feel really good. Because he's like, oh, you opened the door. Oh, you jerk.
Yes, you are. I mean, what?
Hey, you're not.
I've done it. I've done it. Just not really paying attention. I'm bad for, I'm bad for looking at my phone when I'm walking. I mean, because... I have it there for music.
Sure.
So, the sounds and notifications come through on top of the music. So you know that you've gotten messages. Mm-hmm. No, I'm not going to check it while I'm on the treadmill because that's bad for me anyway. If I don't actually pay attention to what I'm doing, I list to one side. And
you bob and weave on a treadmill.
The last thing I want to do is like face plant and get shot across the room. So
at 3.5 miles an hour, I promise you're not going to get shot anywhere.
Yeah, but you're
not going to get shot. It's going to be the slow crawl.
I'm going to have road rash all over my chin, and I don't want it.
He just made it feel like it was very much a Roadrunner Wile E. Coyote situation.
That's what
and
it's going to look like.
You hear the zip as he comes off of it. But what's actually going to happen is you're going to hear.
What's actually going to happen is somebody's going to hear a loud bang and then the word fuck, and then I'm just going to sheepishly limp out of the room and leave.
Yeah,
and act like that's what I intended to do.
No,
I'm already. It's bad enough when the thing shuts down. I turn and ride it to the end and then step off.
God, you're that guy.
I'm that guy.
I'm so glad we're doing this because you're that guy.
I'm that guy.
I'm the guy who would stand on the side of it and then just kind of gauge it.
Oh, really?
And see if it's like, oh, that's a bit much.
No,
that's why I don't. There's too many buttons and things to fiddle with on a treadmill.
Right on up on that thing, hit go, and start going to my speed.
There's too many buttons and things that I would mess with and go, oh, let's try this.
Do you hold on like you're riding a bike?
I don't use the treadmill.
Oh,
I don't. We've talked about this. I walk the track.
You walk the track.
So I
don't like for the floor to move under you, huh?
I want to, even if I'm walking in a circle, I want to physically go somewhere. I feel like it's wasted time to walk in place.
I don't know. I like staring at the river, I guess. I don't know. It doesn't bother me. I would actually really prefer to be outside. And there are days that when the weather is just absolutely wonderful, I will go change clothes and then hit the trail because our trail's right there at the Y.
Yep.
Instead of being inside. But for right now, it's winter, it's yucky. It's great.
Absolutely.
I mean, the whole reason for the gym membership for me was, okay, it's raining and I really want to go walking. Because it's a lot about stress relief, burning off the day, as much as it is trying to burn an extra calorie or two.
It was accountability for me. Because if it's coming out of my bank account, I'm now wasting a resource.
You're like me. I bought that. I'm going to use it.
Right. And so that's kind of been the take for me in that regard. But, I mean, I get it. I like the walk outside. Our Riverwalk Trail is fantastic. If you're happening to listen from our neck of the woods and you haven't used it, you're missing out. There's a lot of good stuff to it.
Big time missing out.
If you are looking to travel and you like nature walks as part of your travel, no, we're not a national monument. However, it is a nice, pleasant walk.
Yes, it is.
It's a nice little stop and take a brisk stroll through the city. We've got a great background to go along with it. And I'll take any tourism dollars anyone will throw at me.
Yeah, okay, nobody's throwing you dollars.
No. For the record, I've closed my OnlyFans.
Aw.
I have. I was tired of only subscribing to myself. It seems
So you
kind
got
of vain.
Tired of paying yourself to look at yourself.
Why? I was
I mean,
administrator.
you can do that in front of the mirror for free.
As
You knew
administrator,
that,
I
right?
got free access.
Oh, really? Oh,
Yeah.
man.
I know.
So your only follower had a
I had a
100%
free
off
pass.
coupon.
Right. It wasn't the ad revenue builder that I'd hoped for. So
Yeah, I sent his wife the link. She's like, the fuck if I want to look at that.
I
mean,
know.
So-
Which is not a surprise either.
I mean,
by
that's-
the way,
She's not throwing money at him either, by the
no,
way.
no. We have a 9-month-old.
She made me coffee again, though. Love you, darling.
We have a
Thank you.
we have a 10-month-old now.
A 10-month-old?
Yes, and
You realize on up until they hit like 3 years, you do it in months, right?
do we have to? Because once I hit a year,
Apparently, that's the thing. It's like,
I
how old's
ha-
your kid? 25 months.
I have this debate with my wife in terms of time we're together. I am of the opinion the clock goes up in stages. My wife will tell you we've been together X number of years. It goes back to the time that we went on our first date. I go with we've been married since 2015. Therefore, we have been married now 7 years. That is the wrong answer. That is the grossly wrong answer.
Let me help you.
No, I get we've been together that long. But when people ask, well, how long have you been together? We've been married 7 years.
Okay, but see, you're not answering the question.
It is.
You're only answering half the question.
Oh, God.
Because the question was how long you've been together, not how long have you been married.
I should have known.
Because,
This
and
was
I
a-
mean, we got this just the other night. We were out with friends, and friends of mine from work. So everybody was meeting the wife for the first time,
Sure.
and we were all meeting girlfriends and wives for the first time. And it's like, so how long have y'all been together? Well, we've been together almost 30 years. And then you get the second half of the question: how long have you been married? Less than 30 years. Actually, we'll be kicking 29
Nice.
in a few months.
Nice.
That's marriage. But we've been together now over
Right.
30 years.
I don't know. I guess for me, anybody can date. The accomplishment for me is the marriage. I'm happily married. I don't necessarily want to, not that I don't want to think about the time beforehand, but my wedding day was one of the biggest days of my life. Probably the biggest until my daughter was born. And then, so I want to start my clock from there because that was arguably one of my happiest moments. So that to me is why my clock starts there. And you're laughing, and I'm not going to go for the spit take because that's coffee, not water, which is a much bigger mess. And I realize that there are going to be people that there's a deep hole that I'm digging by going, your only happy moment with the day that I do. I get all that. I understand that. But in my head, that's where I sit. Go ahead.
You're wrong.
That's fine.
I mean, I'm just going to throw that one out there.
That's fine.
I mean, because, you're not looking at the whole accomplishment. Not only did you date, and yes, anybody can date, but not only did you date, but you dated, you stayed together, and it advanced to the next thing. So, yes, happiest moment of your life, first happiest moment of your life, however you want to term it, was the day you said, I do. But that really, you might want to say that that's the second happiest. Because for me, my wife and I were a blind date. We were set up by my godparents. And I had a party to go to, and everybody was a couple. And so I call this woman that I've never met, never known, and I tell her I got a party to go to, and everybody's gonna have a couple. Everybody's gonna be a couple, so I kind of would like to have a date to this party. And she agrees. Yes, she's an idiot. She agreed. But anyway,
wasn't
of course,
gonna go
now
there.
we're talking 30 years ago when, you could and we were set up by someone.
Of
so there was
course.
already a level of trust there. It
Absolutely.
wasn't like this internet thing. So we go to this party. We have a great time. Everybody has a few drinks. Everybody has a good time. We play some cards, and we had a blast. And then I took her home, and it's like, hey, you want to do a real date tomorrow? And she goes, why wasn't this a real date? I said, well, we didn't really know each other, and we went to a party. How about we go out, just us, so we can get to know each other? Mm-hmm. So, and that's how all that went. So that was a great day for me right there, because I made the leap. Instead of not going to the party, I called somebody and said, hey, go with me to a party.
Right.
And then it progressed from there.
Right. No, I
30 years
get
worth.
that. I understand that, and I get that logic. And I guess to me, when I'm meeting someone for the first time, there's an anticipation, there's a nervousness, there's oh, God, don't screw this up. So I don't normally get the happy, because you spend the whole time going, shit.
Well, see, we didn't even do that. Both of us had been in failed relationships. We'll just put it like that. I mean, we'll be straight up. Both of us had been failed relationships.
Right.
I had gotten sick and tired of the game. And
Yeah.
she had gotten sick and tired of the game. And we took this for exactly what it was. Someone we mutually knew, which happened to be my godmother, she worked with her at the time, said, hey, you two should meet. I think you two would be, at the least, decent friends. You should meet. And we were like, and both of us, we have talked about it since. Matter of fact, we talked about it on our honeymoon. How we were just at this whole, it sucks, and we're
Right.
not doing it anymore. We'll take single and be done with it. So we both went in with zero expectation. None. We had no clue that this was going to lead this far. We had no clue that we wanted to date. And for the first several months that we dated, we talked on Thursday to line up plans for either Friday or Saturday, rarely both days.
Right.
And if we went out dancing, like to a nightclub or whatever, which was something that we both enjoyed doing then, and we had friends that we could go with,
Sure.
if we did that, a lot of times that was the only date for a week or two. Because, and we did a lot of, we paid for ourselves early on. The relationship started with really all the help on the planet, but no help.
See, I think that's probably the one key difference is you guys had that common sense of trust and everything in between. I actually met my wife online, and so we would talk, and we'd had conversations via text. We talked on the phone. So the first time we actually met, and kudos to her, by the way, in the world that we live in, we didn't meet at a common area. Like, she came to my house. Like, I was living by myself. I mean, it had all the negativity that you could
By the way, she
possibly
can take
imagine.
him. I know she can take him. I think she shoots straighter.
No.
More straight. Did I say that wrong?
No, she's a horrible shot.
Oh, I'm saying whatever it takes to get coffee next time.
No, well, you're going to get coffee anyway. I was out at breakfast before you got here. Didn't even notice the pot of coffee when I got back, and then you just immediately went over and was like, "Oh, coffee."
Yeah,
And I went, when did she make coffee?
I literally just poured coffee, grabbed a Pop-Tart straight out of the box sitting on the table, and come on downstairs like I live here.
Which is fine. I'm glad you feel comfortable enough to do that.
My
'cause
wife's
that's-
going to see me coming out of the grocery store and go, wow, this is odd. No, I got to restock Josh's house.
But so the you guys were in a situation of not having any pressure,
Right.
And I did not have any expectations. However, there was still the air of, I don't really want to waste the entire evening. I'd hate for her. And she drove in from an hour away to my house. So I'm like, okay, house has got to be at least moderately clean for a single guy. We got to do this. So I had a list of things that would have met expectations. And then we had talked about what we were doing and whatever. But it wasn't a neutral site. Let's just go hang out and see what sticks, what doesn't. We didn't have that. And it was, so to me, not that I didn't enjoy myself, But at that moment, it was, am I going to see her again? What are we doing? Is she going to answer my phone call? I told her to let me know when she got home so she could get there safely. Am I going to not ever get a text message and assume she died in a fiery crash? So I had that level of anxiety. So I didn't really get that happy moment, if you follow me.
Yeah.
It was a different setup.
We did the whole traditional. At the time, both of us still lived at home.
Sure.
And, it was just her and her mom most of her life. So, and I did it the way I was raised. I was going to pick a lady up. I needed to be there 30 minutes early because I had to meet parents. And that's the way I was raised. Be the Southern gentleman. Make sure you're there. Go up to the door. Knock on the door. Introduce yourself. Meet the parents. And I did not know until, in the course of the conversation that evening and that weekend that her dad had already died. I had no clue about all of that. So, I went. Her mom answered the door, and I never made a move toward the interior of the house. I did the whole Southern gentleman thing.
Wait till I'm invited in.
Right there, shook her mother's hand, introduced myself, told her what our plans were for the evening, where we would be, even had a phone number for her to reach my parents, had a phone number for the person's house we were going to. I mean, I had myself prepared.
Right.
And I did. I waited, like a good vampire, I waited until I was invited in the house.
No,
Didn't assume anything, and never went past the foyer for like several weeks. But never did I pull in the driveway and blow the horn. By the way, guys, never pull in the driveway and blow the horn. I am a girl dad, so when the first guy rolled in to take her out on that first date, she was told, "You better make sure he comes to the door, because if he rolls in and he blows the horn, he's taking me out." Because I'm going to be the one going out the door asking him where the deer is he's trying to get out of my driveway. Because you don't roll up and toot the horn. You come in and you meet the parents. And by the way, and another thing I did, and I will actually tell the origin story behind this in a minute. I went out, took a picture of his license plate, took a picture of his car, looked him dead square in the face, said, "You're not good enough. She's home by this time." And then I took a picture of the two of them together as if it was some cute little moment. So I had his license plate, a complete description of his car. I had their entire itinerary. She had a friend that had my phone number that she was to text if there was a change in the itinerary. And I had an updated picture of her and him. So when I sent the cops out, they would be knowing who they were looking for.
Absolutely. I am taking notes right now.
You are
teaching lessons.
Well, I did that. We've discussed the fact that I've been involved with the youth groups at church.
Of course.
Now, some of these youth are now my adult friends. Some of them are 30 years old. Earlier, I was texting one of them. They're coming up for dinner. So I met some of these people when they were 14 and 15 years old. Well, when they graduated high school and no more youth program for them, because, church is like everything else, cutoff line, they come to me and said, "We're missing church." So I did the whole college-aged thing.
Right.
And yes, it's going to sound like I did it until this group of people started their lives, because that's what happened, because the next group behind them was not interested in continuing it, so it ran its course.
Sure.
But one of them had talked about meeting someone online, and they were going to go on a date. And it was going to be an out-of-town thing. They were going to drive 45 minutes away. And I don't know. It might be my age. It might be the fact I actually care for these people.
Spidey sense is tingling.
Yeah. I was like, wait, you're what? So you don't know this person. You don't know this person's family. You don't know anything. Oh, yeah, and they're just happy-go-lucky, calling out whichever app it was. And I'm like, okay, so right now, I want a picture of that person. When you get in their car, I want a picture of their license plate. I want a picture of the car. I want to know everywhere you're going. And if that changes, I want to know where the change is. I don't care if you're going to his mom's house. You're going to text me that address.
Right.
I need that person's phone number. And, it's common these days for the youngsters to constantly be on their phone.
Absolutely.
So and when I told my daughter to do this, she was actually texting one of these people, one of my college kids, as I refer to them as. She was actually texting them because it looked better for her to be texting a friend about her date than it did to be texting dad about her date.
Right.
And we did that, and I did that for each of these young adults. And I had my daughter do it. And you're not the only person. I just had this conversation with somebody else that's got daughters that are making their way up to dating age. And it's like, it doesn't have to be you. It has to be somebody that can get in touch with you.
Right.
You want that license plate. You want that picture of that car because now you don't have to remember, was it green or was it blue? You've got that car. You don't have to remember, was it this version or that version? Because, Buick's got a million.
Right.
And so does Chevy, so does Ford. And sometimes, when you're frantic, they all look alike.
Sure.
And you can't remember the name of a thing. You might pull up, it was a Mustang too. Well, they didn't make those. They made those in 76. So you don't want that. You want that picture. And I don't care if you have to sneak out and do it, which me, I'm brassy. I go straight out there, snap, what are you doing? I'm taking a picture of your car. Why? Because she's going to be back here by 11, or I'm going to know how to find you.
Yeah.
And I got an awful lot of respect out of the guys because some of them were just flat scared of me. Fine.
That's still a win.
The guy she's dating now, he better still be scared of me. I know he listens to the podcast, and somebody told on me the other day, not to name any names, but his initials are Josh.
I don't remember telling on you.
Oh, I've told him to his face. He's not good enough. He's never going to be good. Nobody's ever going to be good enough.
Yeah, I know.
But he's an okay guy. All he's going to get on this podcast is okay.
So this must be what you were talking about, because I still see the smile and how happy you are for your
yeah,
daughter.
Here you go again. You're going to throw me under the bus.
Homeboy, you're doing well. Stay the course, and I'm going to go with all the best.
Homeboy, he's a paid actor. Don't believe him. He lies.
Of all the things that I am paid for this podcast, at least not yet, it's on the list. There is nobody gets paid
that's
to be
a
this
short list of things he gets paid for.
Exactly.
I can promise you.
That's why
it had to be canceled.
That's why I had to close it. It would have been a circling the drain, but never actually going down.
Right.
It's like, pay to host, pay to subscription. Crap.
Maybe you should have done more than just circle the drain.
Well, I tried. Not that flexible.
You didn't put a lot of effort into it.
Well, I'm not highly motivated when it comes to physical activity. That's why I just walk in a circle at the gym. I don't take part in leg day. Drop some.
I just dropped everything. I'm over here. I got my phone on silent so y'all don't hear all my little bleeps and blops and everything, but I've got like 4 different people that I'm trying to iron something out with, and I'm being just as rude as I can be. And I just knocked my glasses off the desk.
Just don't step on them, Mr. Magoo. Don't step on them.
Oh, gosh, no. I can't afford new ones because we don't charge subscriptions for this.
No, not at this point. Not at this point. I figure it has the same amount of success potential as my OnlyFans. I was going to try to go and do like a cooking version and call it OnlyPans, but some girl on TikTok's already taken that, so I can't brand that either. Don't get me wrong, though. She's a lot of fun and makes delicious food, but just a day late and $1 short.
Yeah, you're short.
Uh-huh.
More than $1.
Well,
it's also short a Pop-Tart, but
there are 2 in a pack,
couple of Reese's peanut butter cups. And, I'm sorry, a single pack is a Pop-Tart. There might be 2 tarts in the pack, but a single pack is a Pop-Tart.
This is a philosophical discussion and a hill that I'm not willing to die on.
When you go to get the tarts out of the box, and by the way, he buys these by the pallet.
That is not true. That is not true. I choose our local big box store because you can't beat the price for what you get.
But seriously, when you go to get the tarts, do you look at your wife and go, "Darling, I'm going to go get me some Pop-Tarts. Would you like some Pop-Tarts?" Or do you look at her and say, "Darling, I'm going to go get a Pop-Tart"?
I say Pop-Tarts because there's more than one. Because my wife...
Somebody's got a college degree.
Guess what? Joke's on you. That is not the thing. I have my advanced diploma.
You are the grammar police, aren't you?
My mother was an English teacher 30 years plus in, so I didn't have a choice. Because
wow. He's the one correcting you on Facebook, people.
I am not. That's not fair. I know those people. I hate those people. Those people are the worst. You get this glorious comment. You make your point. You have just gotten really good content.
You have fat thumbs, so you spelled everything wrong.
Right. And there's that one dickhead at the bottom of the screen that goes, Those are people that I want to punch square in the face.
I think the time it bothers me the most is when it is on a popular meme.
Oh.
When the grammatical error is on a popular meme, that bothers me more than somebody typed it in on their phone, and you've got autofill, autocorrect, blah, blah, blah. The phone has no clue if you're using possessive or if you're using a contraction, and it just throws it in there, not going to overlook it. But if you're going to create a meme, you need to proofread.
I don't disagree with you. However, back to this whole autocorrect thing, I can promise you one thing. Unless I have discussed food, which I'm not going to discuss, I've never actively typed duck. Ever. Unless I am talking about I'm cooking duck for dinner, I guarantee you if you have ever gotten that from me, it ain't duck. So stop trying to autocorrect me.
First thing I did was eliminate those limitations. Those whatever set of parameters says I can't type profanity is off my phone.
I agree with you. I'm with you 100% on that.
I can't do it. It doesn't happen. I can't do it. No.
Oh, I realize, and
see, and a lot of my friends get tired of me because I text like I talk. So if it's a case of that blah 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 blah. Oh fuck. If that's it, I will actually put the dots in there, type that word, put the dots in, and continue on. And people people tell me all the time, like, why do you do that? Okay, you're a friend of mine. You're already reading that and hearing my voice.
Nobody's text messages ever sent right the first time.
You know how I am. You know my personality. You cannot tell me you're not reading that and hearing my voice and looking at that and going, screwed up and didn't want a backspace. Because that's what happened. I screwed up and didn't want a backspace. Because, I'm typing on something that's like 6 inches by 2 inches with two thumbs that are 6 inches by 2 inches.
Yeah, I understand. And it's a delicate dance.
It's like, and then you gotta back up. You gotta back up. You gotta back up. And it's like, can I go back? Can I have a keyboard, please? Now, when I first started texting, I had the phone that flipped in both directions.
I had the pocket one as well. That thing was great.
And I mean, you could text on that without even looking at it because it's set up like a typewriter. I mean, if you're taking a keyboarding class or a typing class. No, now it's like there's no feel to it because it's a touch screen. And how many? By the way, I don't know if I'm the only person that does this. I throw the phone in my pocket. I have taken so many screenshots of my background page because how I grabbed my phone or how I went to put it in my pocket. And the sad part of it is I had about 6 of those before I realized what I was doing. I'm showing this back to my kids. I'm showing this at one of these meetings at church, and I'm like, what is going on here? And they're like, oh, you're taking a screenshot. A who? I'm taking a what? Oh, you're taking a screenshot. Which means...
Oh, see, that was a golden moment. I would have... You need to be glad I was not in your college class.
The only reason I am semi-up-to-date with anything is because I know people that are 20 and 30 years younger than me, and I hang out with them on a regular basis.
I would have sold that as every one of those is an error. Every time you have one of those, something is wrong with your phone. You probably need to get it checked. Go get a full scan, do a full diagnostic, because it may blow up in your hand.
One of these folks knew how to do it on my laptop.
Oh, yeah.
And then they put that up as my background on my laptop. Oh. And then they waited and they watched. And that was the day they learned that I didn't care what I said in church. Because I thought my laptop had frozen. And the string of words that come out of my mouth. No, you really shouldn't cuss in church. But I'm also a firm believer that God didn't make that list. George Carlin did.
Right.
So anyway.
Exactly.
And we can go down this rabbit hole another time. Each of those words at one point in time was proper language.
Oh, yes.
And used in everyday language. But
no issues for me on that.
And I actually learned that in church.
Oh!
So that's a lot of what we did, by the way. It was a life experience. It's like, somebody would roll in and had a bad day at college, had a bad day at work, and they roll in with food from somewhere, and, the door sort of slams behind them. They're like, that didn't slam hard enough. Well, what's wrong with you? Well, this, you go through the whole problem and everything, and it's like, and next thing you know, everybody's talking about their day. Everybody's talking about what's been bothering them. And the next thing you know, somebody goes, hey, you know what? Does this even have anything to do with religion or church? Oh, I don't know. Let's see. Off to Google we go.
Right.
And we start typing in. We did everyday life lessons in church. Our preacher came in one time, and she was just like astounded. She was like, how did you put together this lesson plan? I didn't. God did. They came in with this issue, and I'm the one that maintains that book should be a hand manual for life.
Of course.
It's supposed to.
I agree.
It's interpretation. Yes, you can interpret it. It is designed to be interpreted. I don't want to step on anybody's toes here, but it's just my belief, and it should evolve with evolution. That's the reason behind being able to interpret it. I am not a trained pastor or anything. This was just something I was doing because a group of kids said, hey, we need something. So, and I had all sorts of materials on hand. My church would provide me anything I wanted.
Absolutely.
But I found out that it was a whole lot better that at the end of the day, when they broke up with their boyfriend because this, and this, and they couldn't understand why the strife was there, it's like, oh, well, flip. Oh, well, look at what this passage says.
Sure.
And a lot of times it would turn into one person's morals were a little bit higher standard than the other person's. And the next thing you know, you understand where you learned why that pisses you off. It's like, all of a sudden, it's like, wow, I grew up in a Christian household. That's why that's pissing me off.
Right. No, I'm with you 100%. I love that was an option, that those kids had that option to do it in that format, because in a lot of times you get hellfire and brimstone. It's this way, and it's just...
We talked to different religions, too.
Right.
I mean, we had somebody bring a Quran in, and like, look what I brought in, and I honestly think that they did it just to see if I'd freak out, and I picked it up and I was reading passages and everything out of it, and somebody else said, "Hey, I've been checking into Buddhism. Really? What have you learned?"
Right. We can
because I mean,
learn
it was
something
just,
new every day.
Yeah, and it was just the case of that's what they wanted. They wanted this open forum where they could talk about whatever was going on. We put together programs for the church. Because, I mean, there were people driving by the church and seeing all these cars, and they're like, so what are you really doing, Kenny? Well, this is my format. And they're like, what? Okay. And if somebody finally said, it'd be great if we could meet them. Are you inviting them to Sunday morning? Well, yes, but they're in school, they're working, and a lot of times Sunday morning is when they're at work.
Right.
Because they've been in school full-time all week. Saturday got spent doing homework and assignments and all of that, because we're talking college, not high school.
Sure.
And, a lot of them were trying to balance full-time school and full-time job, which was one of the reasons. I mean, I actually did it. This was running from like 9 to midnight. And it changed almost by the semester based on the majority's schedule. So, 1 year at Christmas, and our church does Advent all the way up. So 1 year for Christmas, I took a play that the preacher had handed me. It was supposed to be an Advent play. And I took it and I rearranged it and had the kids come in and read the different parts, the different scripts on the appropriate days, as if they were mailing letters home to these people.
Ooh, that's cool.
So, and I had one of them that he was a really good actor, very good actor. He rolled in and did it as a monologue, and he dressed up for the part.
Nice. I love when folks are fully committed to something like that, because it's easy. That is not a common... Your approach is not normal. Now, granted, normal is subjective. I own that. I agree with that. I believe that. But that approach, I think being relatable wins at the end of the day.
For that age group, almost has to be.
Yeah. No, I agree
They've
completely.
literally gone from memorizing the major passages and coloring pictures of the major passages.
Of course.
I mean, because that's what they're doing in the pre-K all the way up. Then they get to high school. Now we're trying to teach them a little bit deeper, a little bit more, but they're still memorizing passages. They're still doing plays, putting on skits, and they're learning. Yes, they're learning. But then at 18, you send them down the hall. You literally, at 18 years old, you've graduated high school, bam, there's 5 more rooms down there. Pick the one that suits you for Sunday school class.
Right.
So now you've got an 18-year-old that's walking in a room with, excuse me, you've got an 18-year-old walking into a room with young families, the just marrieds with kids like yourself. So we're talking a lot of times 25 and up. Okay,
There's an age gap there.
Then there's another room that's got their parents. Well, they don't want to be there. So now you're in the, I don't want to say middle age, but you're in the 30 and up, or 40 and up rather. Well, then you go down the hall and you've got the retirees. And of course, everybody wants you in their classroom. Everybody wants you to come and be a part of their little club or committee or whatever it's called. Because, first of all, we all fundraise. So we need bodies. We need physical help in the church. But you're not prepared, and we talked about this earlier, you're really not prepared to be in that situation at 18 years old just because you're 18 years old. You're now starting to find out that everything you memorized and everything you colored is absolute wonderful knowledge for portions of the Bible. And now you're walking into this classroom for the first time, and they're in week 7 of a 10-week study.
Right.
And now you feel like a fish out of water.
So I had a similar situation, and for what it's worth, we're not looking to change philosophies.
No.
This is just a life.
We're talking. We're basically just talking.
Right, and I want to make sure that that's the understood, and most folks are going to get that anyway. But just in case, we're not here to convert, and God knows, your own thing. I want you to do your own thing.
Do your thing. I actually promote doing your own thing. Go out, do your research, find what's right for you, what fits you.
So when there's a large window in terms of, in high school, you go all the way till you're a senior, and then you go off to college. Well, in a church where the youth group is not super large, there are only a handful of you that make it all the way to your senior year. You're saluted at graduation during worship and all this, that, and the other. Well, everybody goes off to college. There's always one who stays local or doesn't finish college. I didn't finish. I went. It was too much for me. Not that it was too much. That's not fair. One, I'm lazy, and I own it. It's taken me a long time, but I own it. Also, college is meant to round you out. Cut the bullshit. If I could have taken strictly curriculum and not done 2 years of figuring out who I am, I'd be what I wanted, or what I had thought I would be. That's done. I would have been that. That's a gripe of a different issue, and I could have knuckled down. I didn't. Lazy. But when you come back, all of your cohorts have already taken and gotten a whole new life perspective and that kind of stuff. But maybe they're still at college. To the same boat, the young adults moves you into your mid to late 20s. Folks who are finished with college, starting a career. There is a serious gap there. And my parents were like, well, it's not our class. You're going to be in this class. And it wasn't like I had to. At that point, I was old enough. I'm not going if I don't want to. But it became, I knew people in that class, but I didn't connect with those people. My grandfather reached out to me, same concept, and he goes, why don't you come in our class? All of our guys think the world of you, and I'll ask the teacher to see what he thinks, and I could name drop. He's passed now. Somebody with a much higher level of effluence in our community that I would have ever thought of, because I wasn't focused on the local, I don't want to say political scene, but in general, a renowned individual in our city. Did not know dude rolled this deep until I've gotten older. And he welcomed me with open arms. And when we sit down there, you have this class, and he's like, here's the book. Here's where we are. Read up ahead of time if you'd like. If you'd like to join in on the fly, that's fine. And as he would go in, he would start his lesson. He would go through whatever the day was, whatever the reading was. He would cover that first. And then he would give his perception of it based on the text. And then at that point, there would be some conversation and rebuttal. And one day, the first week or two, I was just there. He welcomed me in. Thank you so much for being here. We're excited to have you here. We hope you'll stay. And so they went on. And then by the third week, he looked at me after they'd had, as old men do, a semi-heated debate, because the two individuals come from very different professional backgrounds into retirement. You once you leave the workforce and into retirement, you still have a where I came from, but you're both happy to be here.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So the teacher looked at me and he goes, "You've been sitting on the sidelines long enough. I think it's time we bring out the secret weapon." And I was like, what are you talking about? And he goes, "I know you. I know your family. I know enough about you to know that I want your take. And I don't want your take that fits this text or that fits this room. I want to know what you think. I want your opinion, because all of us have lived life. But I think overall, we are reaching a point where our grandchildren and great-grandchildren and even our children not necessarily put us to pasture. That's not fair. We don't get it. Now, I'm not asking you to teach us, but if you give perspective, it may allow all of us in a day-to-day to take a different approach." And there were a couple of guys that looked at him like he was an idiot. And it can be intimidating. But at the end of that class, I gave my perspective on where I was at 18, 19, 20, and they all kind of went, "Oh," and they related. And if anything, I watched those guys, and I'm not trying to put myself on some sort of pedestal. I reflect back on it now, and I'm appreciative of that time, because it made me different. It made me better than what I thought I was. It gave me a place. But to talk to those guys and then see them go out when they see their grandchildren who are coming up in middle school I watched a guy use what I said and immediately apply it to the relationship that to his grandson, who is always cordial. The kid is a good kid. He's grown up and he's done great things. But his delivery changed. I watched his delivery change. So instead of the kid going, "Okay, Grandpa," it was, "What?" Like he didn't expect it.
It makes a world of difference.
It was fantastic. And I'm not trying to act
did
like
the
a
whole
Mother Teresa or anything.
But I did the whole small church thing. So small
Right.
church, very small classes, everything. And it was literally at 18, "Hey, go down the hall. This is your class." And it was almost like going to school and you're a grade up and you went to this class and this class. It was like, and it wasn't even, we got 5 rooms, choose one. It was, "Oh, your next step is here." And I go in and they're in the middle of a study and they're like, "Hey, you're going to have to catch up." Really? I don't
just
get to start
graduated.
at
I
the
don't want any more
beginning. I
homework.
got to start with homework.
Right.
And then you're sitting there and you've got this lay speaker or the head of the class, whatever, preaching. And then you're going to sit and listen to the preacher preach. Then you're going to go home and you're supposed to absorb all of that and learn something. No, not at 18 for me anyway. I was done with, at the moment, "Here's the book, you're going to have to catch up." I just left the book on the table and didn't go back to the class. And everybody was like, "Why didn't you go back?" Okay, that environment's not for me right now.
Right.
And that's kind of the approach I took with the college age kids. It's like they need their Sunday school to be at 9:00 at night, not 9:00 Sunday morning.
Right.
And I did a lot of things. I actually helped the church evolve as much as I possibly could to understand that you've got people that have to work on Sunday. 2 services is a great thing. Now, Let's open up the social hall, stream the service to a TV so that those people that have to be at work and have to wear a uniform to work can make their way in. And this happened when I was doing third shift at the radio station because I wanted to be at church, but I kept falling asleep in the pew. And that's distracting to the people around you.
Right.
So we had a TV downstairs. We had the camera in place, and we did all of that so that the ladies that cooked for the grieving family could see the service.
Right.
So I'm like, if we can do that for a funeral, why can't we do that on Sunday morning? And let's serve coffee for the third shift person. Let's let the person that works at whatever store and has to wear this particular uniform or apron come in ready for work, knowing that it's not going to hurt anybody's feelings. Nobody's going to stare. Nobody's going to judge. By the way, that happens in church way too much because they had to get up 10 minutes before the sermon was over. Let's not pass the plate. Let's put a basket right over there.
Right.
And kind of change things up a little bit so that you can, because it needs to evolve and it needs to be all-inclusive if it's going to be called all-inclusive. So doing it that way makes a huge difference in whether or not somebody actually learns enough to be able to progress to the next room.
Right.
And it's crazy how it's not thought of. I'm sorry I keep clearing my throat, but I didn't open my bottle of water yet. Anyway,
it's the little things.
Something else I actually want to say before because we will move on shortly because we always do. But we were doing something at our church at one point in time. We were talking about spending a huge amount of money on some upgrades to our property and our building. And some of what was
every church has to do.
And
the building fund.
Right. Some of what was being discussed was kind of going over the heads of some of our retirees, and these people are absolutely wonderful people. I love sitting and having dinner with them. And one of them spoke up and said, okay, we're talking about spending $500,000. How is this going to affect my worship? How is this going to enhance my worship? And I did one of those Kenny fly off the handle moments. Did not use profane language. I'm going to put that one out there.
Hey.
But I stood up and I spun around and I said, ma'am, we're not talking about enhancing or bettering your worship service. You are retired. We are talking about making sure this church can go to our centennial and beyond. We want to make it 100 years, and we want to make it 100 years down the road. We want the shovels that we're planning to buy and spray paint gold in a couple of years to be, and we already celebrated that, by the way, but we want those to be in the corner, and in another 100 years, they pull them back out, and we do it again. We have to look at how are we going to better your grandchildren's worship. It's at a point now that you are here to worship, and we are absolutely concerned about whether or not you are being fed religiously. Yes, but we also have to look at how do we maintain, how do we stay, what's next. Part of your worship experience should be trying to help cultivate your grandchildren's worship experience.
The sweet irony of that is evolution in a church. Thunder, lightning.
Yeah, right.
Dun, dun, dun. Sorry, I couldn't help myself. But when you said that and we all know that person. I think that's my favorite part about this. I don't care who listens to this and when. You all know that person in one way, shape, or form. And you know exactly who it is. We're going to pause for 2 seconds so everybody can say it out loud. Good for you. I knew you had one. I knew you had one. And if you didn't, you just wanted to hear 2 seconds of silence,
we don't blame you there either.
No, it was an opportunity for us to drink from our water bottles.
Exactly. I finally opened it so y'all don't have to listen to my raspy voice.
As Penn and Teller would call it, of course, brain fart in this exact moment. Misdirection.
Yes.
Misdirection. Me juggling allows you to take a sip of your water.
Exactly.
You're focused on me, and I have changed out all of it. It's a transition. We're going to do that. One of my unsung hobbies, something that I always wanted to do, and I can't ever turn away if I see it, magic.
Oh, really?
Magic. I love Penn and Teller. Oh, and I realize it's the stupidest stuff. I realize it's the mechanics, and I think the thing that I've been
It's fun, is what it is.
well, it is.
I mean, it takes forever to master it. So when they're putting on their show,
Fun to
they
watch.
deserve people like you that it loves watching.
lazy.
Yeah.
But I think one of the things, and again, I enjoy magic shows no matter what, is learning the concept. Like, I want to know how the trick works. I would love to watch a workshop on how that trick works. So when I see it, I go, and I would never take that away from this person.
No, see, I like not knowing.
No,
I mean, I really do. And at the end of the show, and everybody says it. Wow, I wonder how they do that. But I really don't want. I don't want it to be explained because one, I don't want to learn how to do it, but I enjoy watching it. But I like the mysticism behind it. It's like, hey, did he really have that card up his sleeve? I mean, you know what? And I mean, sometimes it's also a case of maybe it's not fake.
So I'm with you on both sides. I love watching it from both angles. I love watching new stuff. I love learning how they did it, because then once I see it, I get to watch your genuine excitement and go, I know how you did it. And not to gloat, it's just, that's impressive. To get from point A to point B is impressive. One of my favorite, and I didn't watch it, and it may even still be running, I've never looked, was Fool Us, where you had somewhat amateurs, semi-pro, like openers from the magician's world performing to see if Penn and Teller could figure it out.
I watched that. That was a great show.
Oh my God.
That was a great show.
It was so good. And then there were a couple of them. I think the guys that I'm the most impressed with, and it as an unofficial degenerate gambler, card mechanics.
Yeah.
God, there's nothing magic about card mechanics. It's all about placement, knowledge, and logistics. I watched a blind guy outwork both of them, sitting less distance than from me to you. He can't see physically what he's doing, and he makes them both go, huh?
Yeah.
And again, there's no magic. There's not the first. He didn't go bloop and catch the card across from him, and the card changed mid-flight. There's no moment of magic. It's this guy has the Spider-Man touch.
He's doing his thing.
Feels everything.
Yeah.
It's all done by feel. That guy is life goal. Like, that guy is so, that concept of magic for me, I do want to know, but I also want to have my mind blown by the next thing, and then I want to learn about it.
Well, see, that's me, and what my take from that show was, no matter whether they guessed it or not, or knew it or not,
They never gave it away.
they never gave it away, and they always looked genuinely entertained. Now
It's
here
the
they are.
showmanship.
Here they are. They're masters of their craft, and here they are watching. You know, they're basically helping other people get into where they can be masters of the craft as well. And here they are genuinely being entertained when they know, well, I know exactly how that's done, but I like the way you presented it.
Right.
And they're having a blast watching these people try to, as the show says, fool them. And it was a great show, which those are two amazing people anyway.
Yes.
Those guys, first of all, they're very talented. And that's just, that's before we get past the magic part. They're
Right.
just talented in their showmanship.
Absolutely.
And for them to dream up that show, or somebody to dream up that show and get them to come in there, and for them to be able to do it the way they did, because sometimes the spinning on the heels to go, hey, they had that up their sleeve, is very powerful. And
Right.
here they are, they're sitting there, they're entertained, and they're having to come up, well, this is how we did it. Yeah, you're right, that's how I did it. But you know what? You put it together great, and if you keep working on it, you're going to be awesome. And they're giving these people a chance to be seen. And it's no different than the competitions and stuff on Food Network.
Of course.
They're giving all of these chefs a chance to be out there, to be seen. And, I watch enough Food Network that I've seen the new ones come in. You meet these people on this show, and next thing you know, oh, they're on that show. Oh, they
Right.
competed on that show.
And they're
now
good
they're
enough.
judging
Yeah.
back where they started. And it's awesome because there's this revolving door of talent coming through, working with the talent that's already there.
Well, it's allowing most of them the freedom and gateways to open their own restaurant and
Yes.
make their own.
I mean,
You
there's
say
one
what you
show
want.
on Food Network that just flat will put a restaurant on the map. And the first thing you've got to do is impress the guy that hosts that show. His name's Guy. Anyway.
I was like, I feel like that's where you were going with
Triple
that.
D. Anyway.
Yeah. No, that's fine.
You know, but once you've impressed him and he comes in and he does the show, and we've read the behind the scenes, there's a huge ordeal to it.
Oh, yeah.
But that can put your restaurant on the map. Now, if you are a fan of that particular chef, and I am, if you watch his other shows, you see these people consistently. He brings them in to compete. And the next thing you know, and he's brought several in to compete that have gone on to compete on some of that network's highest honor shows.
Absolutely.
So, you know, and it's great to see instead of me, let me see how I can get bigger. They're on here going, wait a minute. There's other people out here.
And see, everybody gives him shit for that. And
Yes.
and it's obvious they're not paying attention because that man has given more opportunities. Yes, he is a showman. He knows his gimmick. He sticks to it. He has taken a show, turned it into a cult following, expanded that into this and then into this. So if you do watch and look at the channel lineup, you're going, God, that guy is on all the time.
He's got his hands in everything.
But if you look at the gateways he's opened to the people that he has worked around and cultivated and brought in just by being a part of it, then if you look at it bigger picture as opposed to, man, I hate frosted tips.
And you know what? It helps everybody.
Yeah.
So for the person, and I'll bring this full circle, for the person that's sitting over there going, what's this doing for me? Sit back and wait. Because he's helping the entire network.
Yep.
Because see, now all of you people that are at the top have new blood coming in wanting to be at the top. That is keeping you on your game. Yeah, he's looking at the clock, folks.
Well,
we
when you brought
got
it
on
full
something
circle,
fun.
No, it's fine.
We got on something a lot. I love stuff like that.
As we've said, we try to keep it to an hour because we know you guys have stuff to do. So, and we appreciate you giving us a part of it.
Laughing out loud at the gym, walking on a treadmill.
But I just
so for the dude that's lifting, that's like, yeah. Careful, you might be saying that out loud.
But no, I was actually, because you were like, as I bring it full circle, didn't expect that. And then I looked and I went, ooh, look at him.
Yeah,
look at him growing and evolving.
I did not that time that. I did not. I was not sitting over here thinking to myself, hurry up, shut up, Josh.
Well,
Never.
But that's, I think that's kind of the exit point for me is when you look at that guy, whether you like what he does, hate what he does, end of the day doesn't matter. But the takeaway for me is you can never have too many restaurants. You can have too many chains, but you can't have too many people living that dream.
Yeah, no,
because
you are
every
right.
take is going to be different.
Every take's going to be different. Everybody's going to have a little something that they do a little bit different.
Yep.
A different herb in the gravy, or a little less pepper and a little more paprika in something else, and it's all based on palate and their taste. And I love watching the people judge these Food Network competitions. I love watching them judge. And a lot of your big name chefs on that network will say, this is good. This is not what I would have done with it. This is imaginative, and it tastes great. And then they also, when they do the criticizing part, it's constructive.
Yeah.
Had you put just a little more of this, you would have had a well-balanced dish. Now,
right.
and we're talking to somebody who, the person judging has also competed on the show. I've noticed that a lot, that you're not judging the show unless you've competed on the show,
unless you were already established.
Now you're throwing somebody in a situation where they got to cook this meal in 20 minutes. They already know there's no way you're going to make it perfect.
Right.
So
they're very forgiving whether you see that and that's portrayed on TV or not. They are giving you a serious pass.
And I love it when they do the kids shows.
Oh,
and I have
my
watched
God, yes.
so many of these top chefs look a 13-year-old dead square in the face and go, you lost this round and you have to go home, but I'm going to tell you what, I'm going to be looking for you.
They are
I'm going to be
scouting.
keeping my eyes on you. I want to see you back again. I want to see you on another one. You've got so much potential. So here you have this kid that's crying, and of course by now you're crying with them because it's heartbreaking at 13, 14 to lose something like that. But I tell you what, 14 years old, I wouldn't have been able to put together a high-end meal in 20 minutes out of this basket of stuff that just somebody threw in. So they're outstanding enough to get there. But you have, and I'm not going to call names because, stuff. But anyway, there's this one chef, and she's always done that. I've noticed she judges the children's stuff a lot, and she has, and I've told my wife so many times that kid's going to end up in one of her restaurants.
Yep, absolutely. I know exactly who you're talking about. She grated on my nerves to start with because of her delivery on certain things. But then as I watched her progress as a judge and then have a show of her own and build her brand and everything that goes along with it, I have grown to genuinely appreciate her because she is candid.
Yes.
But it's poignant and it's to the point and it's beneficial.
Well, see, that's the other thing. If you watch these people when they first start judging, I mean, I've been watching Food Network for a long time now, so I've watched a lot of these people come through this competition and up to this point. And no, they don't still do the same shows, the same competitions, but when you watch them judge for the first time, and I made the comment on one of the other ones' shows, I made the comment that the newer judges were looking over at the producer a lot. They were looking over at the producer a lot. And so they're starting to learn, and they're starting to put together a personality so that they can be a judge. But that one in particular, I just think that, some of these kids that I see go through that particular competition, I just know somewhere along the way. I mean, wouldn't it be great if that particular chef actually paid for them to go to culinary school because they were that impressed?
Right. They want them in the farm system. Yeah, absolutely.
It's like, and if I owned 15 to 20 restaurants, yes, if I was on that show and judging, I'd be writing down names.
Absolutely.
Like, this kid's got potential, and I'm the one. I'm the one that's going to get them in on my line cooking. I'm going to bring them up.
Well, and there may not be an introduction before the show because you got to get the kids ready and do all this and that and the other. But you can damn sure bet after the show's over, they are talking. They're meeting the family that is waiting in the green room. These kids aren't just left and dropped off at chop school. No, they're not daycare. Parents are in another room watching a completely different monitor going, yes, yes, yes. And then when it's over, they're networking. They're not stupid. They're networking. So we get it in 30 to 40 minutes or an hour, but there's so much more than that to this particular level. I love it.
Somebody asked me one time, why are they always down to the wire plating? Well, that's because it's edited. They do the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and they're editing out who's throwing something at the last minute. I mean, that's
right.
You want the pressure of the show. You want to be on the edge of your seat, and I've done it before watching a cooking show on the edge of my seat going, will you hurry up and get the chicken on the plate?
No, I'm with you 100%.
All right, we've gone we actually went over an hour talking about how we like to bring it full circle and be done in an hour. You know that, right?
Yes.
Are we doing exit music?
No, we're not doing exit music, and you're not going to start with it either. We'll see you guys next week.
All right, bye.